MIAA Mondays with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy. Thank you so much for joining me. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, a variety of topics. Maybe an odd time to probably start talking in the middle of summer when everybody's gone, but there's still things to talk about from last year, as well as the spring meetings you guys have. But first, sir, thank you for coming on with me.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. It's great to be with you. It's great to have this platform to talk about things going on in the MIAA, and just appreciate your interest in our conference and things going on in Division II.
I want to get to a lot of topics, especially for the spring meetings and everything, but just so happens Supreme Court kind of came out timely with something that's been very big across, I think, all divisions, maybe Division I more than everybody else, but the NILs. And people, I think, are also talking Supreme Court all voted the same on something at this point, too, just all kind of agreeing on it. What does that look like for the MIAA, and how much does the NIL issues look at Division II? Because I think people think Division I for a lot of these things, but there's impact across the board, isn't there?
I think so. I think, a very important Supreme Court case this morning. The case was heard this past spring, but, as you know, the justices decide who's going to write the opinion and then take sides, and then those decisions get released usually in June. And the NCAA case released just this morning. It's a case. The case name is Alston, and it was a lawsuit against the NCAA, and I think about 11 other Division I conferences, and basically saying that the NCAA restrictions on the type of education benefits that a school could give to student athletes, the Supreme Court came back and said that those restrictions were illegal. The NCAA really cannot restrict the type of education benefits that student athletes can receive. So things like a laptop computer, or a school setting up a student athlete's internship program, a school paying for a student athlete's tutors. Those are all things now that are permitted. And I think, the public's heard a lot lately about the name, image, likeness. A lot of states have enacted laws on a student athlete being able to earn money off of his or her name, their image, or their likeness. I think there are about 6 states, Chris, that have those laws set to go in effect July 1st. And the NCAA has really delayed acting on differences in those state laws, and trying to put a rule in place for what's permitted and what's not permitted in Division I or Division II or Division III. The NCAA wanted to wait and see what the Alston case released this morning said. It was also hoping that Congress at the federal level would perhaps adopt a law that was enforced in all 50 states, and that hasn't happened. So we're in a little bit of a kind of unpredictable space for NCAA and membership in all 3 divisions, and we'll probably hear more about this, Chris, later this week. NCAA Division I and Division II governance groups are meeting this week, and obviously we'll be talking about name, image, likeness. But I think there are people that are interpreting what the Supreme Court said today, that really the NCAA can't restrict much more than saying schools and boosters, you can't pay a student athlete to come to your school, and you can't pay a student athlete because of his or her performance and how they're doing in their sport. Other than that, the Supreme Court's saying that schools have a lot of leeway in what they can do and what they can provide to students, and And so I think because of the case today and saying that the NCAA doesn't have this kind of antitrust blanket coverage on whatever rules they want in place, that's going to withstand the challenge of some sort of a legal case. It seems to me that we're going to be in for kind of the wild west for a little while of what schools and conferences are trying to do. On the name, image, likeness front for the MIAA, what does that mean in Division II? Well, I think it means that our schools are going to have to be in a position where they can talk to potential recruits and say, look, come to be a student athlete at Northwest Missouri State, or be a student athlete at Missouri Western, or be a student athlete at Pittsburgh State University, because we have a great business school. They're going to help you if you have questions about how to create your own brand, how to market yourself, how to develop skills in turning a social media presence into a revenue stream. Schools will be prohibited about matching up sponsor X with student athlete Y, but they can assist students in helping them develop skills and resources. And I think that becomes the new area where recruiting wars are really going to be fought over the type of schools that a student can go to, and at the Division II level, or the NAI level, or the Division III level, and create their own brand, or if they already have their own brand because they are an influencer on Instagram or whatever,
right,
that they could come to that school and find a way to expand it, and do so because they are a great quarterback, or a great soccer goalie on the women's soccer team. And our challenge at the MIAA office is really to help our schools be prepared to go into these new recruiting battles, and to help student athletes understand that, hey, the place at the Division II level to have a chance to win championships, develop your sports skills, and also develop the skills that you want to help promote your name, your image, your brand, is at an MIAA school. And that's the reputation that we want. That's the reputation when we talk about facilities or quality coaches, or a great place to get an education. Now we want that same conversation that coaches have with student athletes to be about, hey, an MIAA school is a great place to go and develop your brand, and really find ways to market who you are while you're a member of our basketball team or football team or whatever the case may be.
This is probably an if, when, then, perhaps question, hypothetical more than anything else. We talked about the federal level. Congress hasn't passed anything through. I know Missouri's I know they're trying to get something at the NIL through. What does it look like for the MIAA if maybe one of the states doesn't have it, but the other ones do? And we talk about recruiting battles. It's the hope for the MIAA to have all the states or all the schools on the same page, even if the states are still working through their legislation.
Yeah, Chris, that's a great question. And that's a real challenge for our conference, because, we have schools in 4 states, and right now all 4 of those states are kind of in different places. A couple of the states have adopted the legislation kind of with a sliding window of when it could go into effect. Anytime after July 1st, but no later than July of 2023. I think the state of Missouri, I think they passed their law. It's just waiting on the governor's signature. So, we've got states in different places. And I think here within the next few weeks, without any type of NCAA action, it would really force our conference to develop some parameters around what student athletes can and can't do until we have NCAA legislation or federal legislation, or all four of our states get on equal footing with similar language and a similar effective date. So, we're in a holding pattern like every other conference in the country, kind of monitoring and watching this stuff. But before the end of the summer, certainly we would need to take some action as a conference collectively. What's best for our 14 schools if there's not action at the national level.
Let's kind of take a look back now, I guess, at this past academic year and everything. It feels like it's been forever since last August when everything was, fall sports seasons were canceled and postponed and moved back. Winter seemed a little bit more normal. Spring seemed like the most normal we've had since, I guess, last year. I guess take me kind of through how you feel like things went, just through all the ups and downs and the changes and having to adapt kind of on the fly.
Well, I think, that was the key, is that there really wasn't a playbook on what any conference, Division I, Division II, or Division III needs to be doing. I look back on what the MIAA was able to accomplish, and I actually look back with a lot of pride. We were able to find a way to be one of the first NCAA conferences to get our student athletes back on the basketball courts. And, we were one of the only conferences in the country, any level, that played every single men's and women's basketball game, even though we had several that got postponed. We made them all up, and we got through the season with a perfect record as far as games scheduled and games played. So I look back with a lot of pride. I also look back at what we did, and I'm a little exhausted because we worked really hard to put all of these things in place that would allow us to play, but do so in a very safe and responsible way. We took action as a conference to make decisions about how often we would test and what those testing protocols would look like, and how often we'd be testing our officials, and the type of protocols that would need to be in place in tennis or basketball or soccer or volleyball or whatever sport. What were the things that we needed to do to change kind of our normal behavior in conducting that competition, and make sure that our student athletes and coaches and all the participants were staying safe. We had to do things that made it safe for our communities to come back and support their teams, and whether that was temperature checks or how we spaced out our fans in the arena. We had one of our corporate partners is an architectural firm in Kansas City, Hollis Miller Architects. It's a firm that specializes in higher education and designs a number of athletic facilities, collegiate and professional. And last fall, they did a tour of every one of our MIAA schools to offer advice about, with the restrictions of the pandemic, how to move fans into your arena, how to move fans out of your arena, how to space fans, really free consultation that they provided to every one of our schools. And, not a lot of conferences did that. We thought that was important for the MIAA to do that. We also created a partnership, Chris, with the U.S. Council for Athletes' Health, and it's an organization out of Columbus, Ohio, made up primarily of sports doctors and athletic trainers that provide consultation on a number of issues, and we partnered with them over a year ago to provide us with direct consultation during the pandemic. And we were one of the first conferences in the country to sign on to work with them, and it really helped us as we tried to navigate things we were hearing from the Centers for Disease Control and the NCAA and some of our local health departments. We had to kind of sort through all of that and try to come up with protocols that would work for our membership and in our communities, and we did it. And so I look back. I'm a tired commissioner, but I'm also a very proud commissioner because I felt like we did it the right way, and we did what was right for our student athletes to find a way to let them play. And we had another successful, very successful winter and spring sports seasons for our MIAA member schools.
I was getting ready to talk about that part. Northwest for the basketball national championship, Central Missouri women making a run there. I'm going to leave some out, I'm sure. It's been, like you said, it's been kind of one of those years.
Yeah, we had
baseball.
Baseball, UCM runner-up. We had another runner-up finish with University of Nebraska Kearney in wrestling. They finished second in the country. The Central Oklahoma had a great year for their women's sport. Women's tennis finished in the Final Four. Although it's not an MIAA sport, University of Central Oklahoma in women's rowing won their third consecutive NCAA national championship. We had a number of top 10 finishes in indoor and outdoor track at the team level. I think Northwest Missouri State men's tennis finished in the Elite Eight. So, and then Chris, one thing that not a lot of people know about, but it's really it's a testament to how awesome our MIAA student athletes are, not just in their sport, but also in the classroom. The NCAA gives an academic award at every NCAA championship. They call it the Elite 90 Award.
Right.
And to even qualify, you've got to be at the national championship. So you've got to be a great athlete, part of a great team. But we had 5 MIAA student athletes that won that award at their NCAA Division II championships this past winter or past spring. And, that just, the term scholar athlete is one that people talk about a lot, but you really see it in the MIAA. These are great students. They are going to be, great doctors, attorneys, vets, bankers, television personalities.
Let me tell you, I would go with the vet or a doctor or anything else if you were looking for the high-paying one.
But they're great. They're great at what, they're great at why they go to college. And why they go to college is to graduate and get a degree. And they're getting that paid for because they're also great athletes. But that's, to have 5 of those scholar athletes recognized by the NCAA at championships in a shortened year where we didn't have fall sports, that was, that was a great exclamation point too for MIAA success this year.
Commissioner, looking at the spring meetings you guys had, just kind of going through there to kind of wrap up the season and kind of getting things ready to go for next year, we can start with the biggest news that you'll be around for a little bit longer, at least till 2024 at least.
That's right.
That's the biggest news of the day, isn't it?
Well, I appreciate the confidence that the MIAA Council of Presidents expressed, and they did extend my contract through June of 2024. And Chris, I love what I do. I love this conference. I've been in higher education for almost 30 years. I spent a number of years working at the NCAA national office in Indianapolis. But a job like this really puts me closer to student athletes, closer to success of member institutions. And I can't think of a place I'd rather be than helping to guide and lead the MIAA. It's got a great history. It's great leadership, great member institutions, and a great track record of success. So yeah, I was thrilled, and didn't take me long to sign the extension to say, yeah, this is what I want to continue to do.
So no holdout on your part then?
No long negotiation, no argument between the attorneys. No, we were very quick to say, yeah, this is where I need to be, and this is what I enjoy doing.
Very good. I would hate that you put that information out there that you held them at a stalemate for 2 months.
That's right. No, none of that.
Right. You kind of look at the other notes, maybe a sign of normal to come or normalcy again. Return to the MIAA championship field sizes. That seems like maybe the biggest return to normalcy that maybe came out of the policies that were approved. Does that kind of give a sense of relief, hope of this school year should be good to go, at least at this point?
Yeah, I think it's all a good sign. You captured one of the action items out of our summer meetings, and that was for our athletic directors and our presidents to say, yeah, we're going to go back to the size of our championships that we had in place in 2019-20 before the pandemic, what we played in 18-19. So for example, in 2019, the MIAA basketball tournament in Municipal Auditorium featured 10 men's teams and 10 women's teams. This past 2020, obviously, we did that as well, and then the pandemic came, and we weren't able to replicate that in 2021. We had to play our basketball tournament on campus sites, and we had to cut the tournament down to 8-team quarterfinals on campus sites, feeding into a Final Four at the highest remaining seed. And we're going to be back at 10 men's teams, 10 women's teams at Municipal next spring, and that's what our student athletes want. That's what our coaches want. And it is a sign that we're back and things are returning to normal. On the testing front, I think right now it looks like we won't be doing regular testing. We're gonna leave that up to each school and their community on whether or not the student body is being tested. But there won't be any conference policy to do weekly testing or testing of our officials. Right now we don't anticipate that we'll have any capacity limitations at our stadiums, in our venues. There won't be mask requirements for our fall outdoor sports. So all the trends are good, and it looks like we're going to be back, and things are going to be what MIAA fans and students recognize what sports were like before the pandemic hit.
Probably know the answer to this one. Just kind of want to double check and everything too. The league doesn't really have any say or control over any type of vaccination things too. I know that's the other hot button issue with COVID too, is vaccinations. Do people get it? There's no real. Is it possible for the league to have policies on that?
There are a few conferences that are working towards those type of policies, that in order to play or compete as a student athlete, you have to prove that you've been vaccinated. It's most of the conferences that are moving in that direction are conferences with predominantly private institutions. It's very difficult for public institutions to have that type of policy. And in fact, there are a few states that have passed laws that would restrict a public institution or public entity from asking that question. And it's something that some conferences are working towards. It's not something that we're working on in the MIAA. As you know, 13 of our 14 schools are public institutions. Right. And, I'm not hearing any noise from our schools that there's going to be a vaccination requirement for students to come back and be in person in classes in the fall. And we certainly aren't talking or working on that as it relates to MIAA student athlete competition.
Just kind of looking through, anything else come out of the meetings that would maybe something that I guess fans of the MIAA of Northwest Missouri Western may be interested in?
The one thing that we did agree to is we're gonna put together a small task force to go back and take a look at our governance structure and our bylaws, kind of an after action report on COVID-19 and how our conference policies and our structure worked. I think it worked pretty well, but I think it's always healthy as an organization when you go through something like this to take some time, near the end or after it's over, to look back and see if there's some things that you would tweak or do different. It's always good to learn from what we've been through. So we're going to do that. We're going to take some time this summer and early fall and really take a look back and see what we want to do. A couple of other things. I think the conference is very pleased with our relationship that we have here in Kansas City with Municipal Auditorium and playing our basketball tournament in Kansas City. 2023 right now is scheduled to be our final year of hosting the basketball tournament in Municipal. And the presidents have asked me to go and try to extend that relationship beyond 2023. 2023 will mark the 20th anniversary of the MIAA playing in Municipal Auditorium. It was set to be 2022, but we skipped this past spring. So 2022 will be year 19, 2023 will be year 20. And Chris, you've been down there. It's a great venue for the MIAA to stage a college basketball tournament. I've had a number of coaches and student athletes that have played in other conferences that have commented just how big time it feels. Coaches that have coached in Division I conferences and say that, Division II, the MIAA at the Division II level is a better tournament. It's a better venue, a bigger crowd, better competition, more meaningful games. So we're excited about that we get to work with Kansas City and continue with that relationship. So that was another big decision that came out of the meeting.
This one probably won't be hard for you to argue or put it find anything else to say about it, but we talk about the MIAA and being one of the best conferences, if not the best, and arguably the numbers back it up. I mean, in Division II, but when you see guys like Cam Martin, the Ryan Hawkinses, get the opportunity and they go Division I, does that help the MIAA in the sense that's a recognition, or is it also we're losing some of our better student athletes to Division I, or how do you look at it from a league standpoint?
Yeah, I think it probably has a two-sided impact here. On one hand, you hate to lose great, whether it's basketball players or football players or baseball players or softball players. You hate when they decide to transfer and leave an MIAA school. I feel I'm happy for the student athletes you mentioned. They they now have a chance to compete at the Division I level, and kind of a bigger platform, a bigger stage for them to show their skills. It hurts, that's great talent you're taking off of MIAA teams, and certainly those teams will feel the loss of those students. But the thing I look at as commissioner, it's a great image boost for our conference. It says a lot about the quality of sports in the MIAA when coaches at the highest level in any sport are looking at MIAA student athletes as student athletes that they would like to have part of their program. And I think it helps with just the overall image and brand of the conference. And Chris, we get a lot of transfers in the MIAA, student athletes that were recruited by our coaches, and they want to chase that Division I dream, and they have a chance to, and they may get there, and it may not be what they had hoped. They may not be getting the playing time. They may miss being away from home. They may miss playing in front of family and friends. They may miss being on teams that are competing for conference and national titles. So, there are a lot of reasons why a student that's being recruited by an MIAA coach decides to go to D1 and now goes back. And, the fact that we've got these students that are taking advantage of opportunities to go and play D1 after they've been at an MIAA school for a while, I think it just raises that awareness to students at the Division I level that, hey, if you're not happy, if it's not working out wherever you're at in Division I, in a lot of cases you could probably find a place in the MIAA that you could compete. It may be closer to home, and like we like to say and talk about in the MIAA. The MIAA is a place where NCAA champions compete in almost every sport. Almost every one of our schools, they start the year, dreaming about and a real possibility of achieving a run at a national title.
Right.
And so students in Division I already know that, and some of our student athletes leaving and going to Division I, it just helps raise that awareness that the MIAA is a very competitive place, has great coaches, great facilities, and very talented student athletes.
I'll get you out of here on this one. I'll let you brag on this one a little bit. I didn't realize until it had to be late February, early March. It was down at Lawson High School. You probably know where I'm going with this one. Yep. District championship game. I look over. I'm covering West Platte High School. I look over across the gym, and I see you sitting in the bleachers. And I was like, why is Commissioner Racy at this game? I looked down at the roster, and sure enough, one of your boys on the St. Pius team. Quite the run for them this year. And then I see on social media just the year that your boys had, and just everything it's had. Just pretty special year too. On I guess being the dad part too.
Yeah, you're gonna make me emotional here talking about something I'm very proud of. But yeah, I have three very special boys, Chris, and my youngest Tyler is the one that you're talking about that just competed his senior year. Just completed his senior year at St. Pius. They had a great run in a lot of sports, including basketball, where they made it to the Elite Eight. And Tyler had a special season, and I was glad that I got to be there and see what he loves doing. And my middle son Zach he was honored with the male student of the year at the University of Central Missouri. It's called their Charno Award, and it's they give a male and a female student of the year award. And So he got that award, and he's pursuing his MBA at Central Missouri. And then my oldest son, Cal, is he's a graduate of University of Missouri Business School, finance major, and just started a new job in St. Louis. And got to spend Father's Day yesterday with all of them. And yeah, I love what I do at the MIAA, but I also love being a father and being a husband. And life is really good right now for the Racy family. So thanks for asking about that.
Well, yeah, that's because I was just standing over there and I started zooming in to get like crowd shots, and I went right past you and I looked back and I went, wait a second, because I hadn't really looked at like the roster that closely yet at that point. I went, oh, well, this makes more sense now. Because at first I'm like, what's he doing here?
Yeah, maybe he's here scouting the officials or something, right?
I was like, what could he possibly be scouting at this? But you know what? Anymore, I never second guess anything. So you know what?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad it's been a good year for you and your family, and thank you very much for doing this. I'm looking forward to more conversations with you, and probably in the summer we'll have to find a few things to talk about, but hopefully once the school year gets going, I'm sure we'll have plenty to go through too.
Yeah, it's we're hoping that it's not as frantic and fast paced a summer like we had last summer, getting ready for a new world. But yeah, we're excited about the fall. I think the MIAA is going to be right in the hunt again in a lot of our fall sports for national championships. And Chris, again, I appreciate this platform. I look forward to spending Mondays with you and talking about the MIAA and everything there is to talk about in NCAA Division II athletics.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it once again.